the pie!
G'day guys, Nate here, coming at you with a Day 4 recap of Collingwood trade news and rumours and whatnot. No sightings, no updates, that's basically it. Thank you guys for watching, but going to discuss a few updates regarding Jack Buller, Brody Mihocek, and a few key updates as well from the AFL landscape, other clubs involved, and how that's related to us and what we can do. I'm going to start this off as well with a Tom Morris clip. I'm not going to quote it word for word here. Tom Morris provided an update on Trade Radio today in the afternoon. Clubs are apparently allowed to trade out their future picks without any regulations around it in regards to utilising or needing to use a first rounder within a certain period. So I'll let Tom Morris explain all that.
Over a 5-year period, it's been mandated that clubs have had to use their first round pick twice in that 5-year period.
Okay.
That's been the rule.
Yeah.
Essentially protecting clubs from themselves. Now, a memo went out to clubs in the last few weeks. And again, I explained it poorly last night, so I'll do it better now, where they're scrapping that for the moment. So what they're doing, they're saying, if you didn't use a first round pick in 2023 or 2024, we're going to pretend that you did. But
Right.
23 and 24, we're going to pretend you did. And what that means is that clubs now are more able to trade out 26 and 27 first rounders than what otherwise would be, because it's as if they've had picks in the first round in 23 and 24.
Okay.
So the best example of this is Collingwood, who didn't use a first rounder in 2024, but have essentially been given one. Imagine that you have one in 2024,
Yep.
which means they can now trade draft picks from 26 and 2027 to give clubs more levers to pull before Tasmania come in. Understanding that in end of 2027, there's going to be fewer draft picks to go around the other clubs. So it reads, clubs must have a first-round presence in 2 years of each 5-year period. All clubs will be granted a presence for the 2023 and 2024 national drafts, regardless of their first-round activity. So they're just giving it.
Yep.
However, each club's first-round activity in the 2025 national draft will not be adjusted.
Now, I don't take that as a cheap shot or anything like that from Tom Morris using Collingwood as an example, because we have used a future first to bring in Lachie Schultz and Dan Houston. They've filled needs for us. Lachie Schultz had a decent year this year. Dan Houston hopefully responds and gets back to his Port Adelaide best and All-Australian form next year for us. If that's the case, it's a worthy selection right there. And now we've been told during trade period that clubs are allowed to trade out their future first and just act like this never happened. Now, in practicality, I don't mind this because Tasmania comes in 2028. Let this be the case up until the end of 2027. Let teams trade out their future picks. Let teams have the chance from now until 2027 to trade out their future picks and also bring in future picks in that time as well. It's a good chance for teams to set up for Tasmania to come in. Teams have a crack at the premiership now before Tasmania comes in, to set up after Tasmania's come in and establish themselves as well. And if teams win a premiership or two in that time, it's a risk worth taking. They've paid the price of admission now and they reap the rewards later. But if teams fuck up now and they're at the bottom of the ladder without any future picks and they've only had themselves to blame, then they only have themselves to blame for it. So if Collingwood, for example, bring in Zach Butters now, Haley Humphrey next year with a future pick, I don't know who else would be in the mix after that. But if we go for the flag or two in the next 3 years, and then once Tasmania come in, we're at the bottom of the ladder, we only have ourselves to blame. I'm just using us as an example there. So I just wish this future picks, news and regulations were provided to us, the public, before the trade period. If the internal memo was sent out to the clubs, why haven't clubs made any of these moves now? I know St Kilda have just traded out their future third. But that's Saints talk. Speaking of Saints talk, they've pulled out of Lecalier. So that fucking sounds weird. But all year, Lecalier, if anything, was probably the first player linked to another club once the off-season hit, and that was to St Kilda. I give it a good year. I know Damien Barrett and Josh Jenkins are crashing out right now about St Kilda pulling out of not going for a Lecalier. I've got to stop saying pulling out for Lecalier. But yeah, the Saints have pulled out. The Saints are not going for Lecalier anymore, but supposedly they might pick him up as either a delisted free agent or the rookie draft. That's an unlikely route, but it would also be a shitty approach to get Lecalier in the rookie draft without paying up for him now. Lecalier was picked, I think, late first rounder. It was a massive risk for the Giants at the time. 25 games so far for GWS across 4 seasons. hasn't fully established himself in the best 23 unless there's an injury that it pops up. So he allows Sam Taylor to intercept and do whatever he wants. Leclerc, known for his spoiling ability, his massive leap as well, his reach as well. He's 194 centimeters. He's not exactly tall, like Darcy Moore is 200 centimeters. Billy Frampton's 200 centimeters. So Leclerc would be undersized compared to Moore and Frampton. I say that in regards to Collingwood because the Saints aren't going for him. It's a good chance for Collingwood to go after Leclerc, and supposedly, this is all murmurs and whatnot. We'll find out more about this in the coming days or maybe in the next week. Why the Saints have pulled out. Fucking hell, I gotta stop saying it. But the Saints not going for Leclerc, there's got to be something more to that. That's all I watch this space for them. Good chance for Collingwood to go after Leclerc. And I think a future seconds would be a little bit of a risk, but it's a risk worth taking. Supposedly, our key position depth players, key defenders aren't a priority. Justin Leppich said that a few days ago. Again, Darcy Moore turns 30 next year. Billy Frampton will be 29 at the end of next year. Jeremy Howe, 35, I think 36 next year. Most likely retires end of next year. Reef returning from his knee injury, but we don't know if he's going to be committed to a key defender role next year. Joel Cochran developing in the VFL. He looks the goods so far. Hopefully he gets more opportunities at VFL level down back instead of up on the wing. So doesn't scream key defensive depth right now for us. So Leclerc provides that for us. He's not a long-term solution. I'm not talking a decade plus because he's in his mid-20s. So he'd be good for 5 seasons. Give him a crack for 2 or 3 years. That's just my early reaction to Leclerc not going to St Kilda. I know Melbourne would probably be in the best position to sort out a trade deal with Clayton Oliver going up to GWS and Leclerc coming back to Victoria. The Bulldogs need key position or defensive depth as well, and Leclerc fits their profile. He fits our profile as well. Carlton will be in the mix. North Melbourne have said they're not going after Leclerc, or they're not going for key position depth or anything like that down back. Now Leclerc's popped up. Do they switch up on that? They should switch up on that. And obviously the Cats would be in the mix and yada, yada, yada. But Leclerc is pretty much open for interpretation. Does another club swoop in, pardon the pun, for Leclerc, or does he stay at GWS? Or does he end up at St Kilda anyway, just a different route, a rookie spot or the listed free agent? It would be a shitty thing to do from St Kilda's end, I reckon. Saints fans are saying he's no good or they're playing hardball, they're not here to make friends and whatnot. To be fair to St Kilda, they're making every move in the book and then some. But they're at least doing something. Collingwood hasn't done a damn thing. It's trade period. I did say at the start, don't expect us to make any major moves. And so far, no major moves has happened. We've missed out on Jack Silvani, Bontempelli, Matt Rowell. These free agents have stayed at their clubs or players out of contract staying at their clubs. Clayton Oliver, not to be this year. Zach Butters might be another 12 months away. Bailey Humphrey, from what Gold Coast are saying, are not putting him up on the trade table this year. And a few other players who have probably been linked to this year but haven't been the case. And that's the case from the media as well. They'll link these players to us and then it doesn't happen and then they're disappointed. So it is what it is. Don't be disappointed. Just be realistic and expect this sort of thing to occur. It's looking like a stable list next year, except for just Brody Mihocek leaving the best 23 and Jack Buller coming in. Just some brief updates on Jack Buller. We got some word, I guess, in regards to Jack Buller leaving Sydney or just wanting to leave Sydney. From what Tom Morris said this morning, my understanding is that the deal from the Swans for Jack Buller was for 1 year. It's not compelling enough for Jack Buller. Collingwood has offered more, a multi-year deal, and Sydney right now have no leg to stand on. Now, Sydney, from all accounts, they want either a future second or our current pick 39. I think that's a bit overs. We might offer that up, but then they need to offer us a late pick to sweeten the deal. I reckon a future third gets the job done. Now, I thought, there's an update on this as well. It transitions or segues into Brody Mihocek. We would get Brody Mihocek for a future third if a trade was to be done for that. It looks like, though, Melbourne is willing to dilute their end of second round compensation pick from Charlie Spargo to get Brody Mihocek through the door at Melbourne for free as an unrestricted free agent. It looks like we will barely get anything for Brody Mihocek, and that's expected. He's 32 years old, 2-year contract. Not a lot of coin, but it's job security for Brody Mihocek. So, again, Brody Mihocek will be going to Melbourne. There's no if, buts, or maybes on that. It's going to happen. We're going to find out officially in the next 24 hours if it's through free agency or if it's done in a trade. So, from Tim Lamb, their list manager, who's got a lot of work to do, but I'll quote him here. At this stage, It is looking likely he could be a free agent. We are talking to Collingwood on a couple of things, but we are comfortable bringing him in as a free agent. And yeah, that's where it's at. My day 5 trade recap video will either be confirming Brody Mihocek is at Melbourne officially, or he's not there yet, and therefore a trade has to be done. Now, my understanding was it was going to be a future third for Brody Mihocek, and then we trade either our future third or Melbourne's future third to Sydney for Jack Buller, and then Sydney will use that as a sweetener to get Charlie Curnow through the door from Carlton. And basically, Melbourne's future third goes from them to us to Sydney to Carlton. And then Carlton, I think, are looking to trade out their picks and whatnot. So that future third from Melbourne could end up somewhere else from there. But it looks like it's going to be a free agency move. So nothing on that front anymore. So yeah, we'll find out in the next 24 hours about Brody Mihocek. Hopefully any other developments on Jack Buller as well. It's looking like it's going to be a massive second week. So day 8, day 9, day 10, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But day 6, day 7, it's not really a trade period day because it's the weekend, so nothing's going to happen. There'll be a lot of speculation and murmurs, and then we'll get the ball rolling on Monday. But there is still Friday to be discussed. Again, Brody Mihocek to be confirmed. Free agency move or trade period move. Maybe Lecalier, the interest there. Justin Lethbridge apparently flew up to Sydney to speak to Oliver. That was done as a Zoom meeting, by the way, but no updates on Clayton Oliver because he's all but going to GWS. Hasn't officially nominated yet, surprisingly, but that will likely be done in the next few days. If he's up in Sydney, though, there's Greater Western Sydney. Lecalier's available, hopefully, even though GWS have expressed interest in keeping Lecalier unless he wants to come back to Victoria officially or fully. Bit hard done by Lecalier. This is a good chance for us to swoop in and make St Kilda pay in hindsight on this, but it is what it is. It's a watch this space. And that's pretty much it. I'm not going to comment on Craig McRae's comments from yesterday. All I'll say for Craig McRae, Dad, Father Coach, Papa McRae, Fly, keep your mouth shut.
Dad, please shut up. Please shut up!
Darcy Cameron, deserving Copeland Trophy winner. We don't need to amend or update our voting system. We've done that multiple times in the last decade. Leave it as it is. Hopefully we make some few additions in the coming days. And that is all for this video. Day 4 in the books. I'll leave you guys all to it. Hoping you guys had a good Thursday. Be well, be safe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Up the pies.
Up the